Hey guys, I'm gonna try to keep this short, but this is my vlog called Spectrum Support. So I have another one that I started like not that long ago, probably like 2-3 months ago, and I think it was too narrow. Like I think I started talking about being purpose driven and stuff like that, but on that one, I'm just gonna make it like life things, like all things life. I'm gonna just talk about everything to do with life, from your purpose, your passion, um, just things like that, maneuvering through life, dating and stuff like that. But this one is specifically for spectrum support, and this is everything to do. Okay, so the purpose of this vlog is to shed light on the fact that autism is everywhere now. Unfortunately, not everyone that works in the field is fully educated as they're supposed to be, and they put a lot of pressure on parents, on us parents, to be instead, um, thus forcing us to become uh, also advocates while maintaining our careers, family life, as well as our child's education. They put it in our hands, even though we're not present. We're not present at school, so there's no possible way we can know what's going on there unless it's communicated. Which is another part. There'll be a topic. There will be something mentioned about like how I instill communication, from my teachers, from teachers at the school, um, about my child to me. But the topic I'll be speaking on today is in my opinion, the most important of them all, because of the many people in careers that choose to not educate themselves fully, henceforth forcing us toward advocacy of our own children on the spectrum. There tend to be either misunderstandings, which hopefully that's what it is most of the time, or just blatant attempts to place blame on either the child directly or the parents and their possibly perceived inability to handle their children. Um, Hopefully it's not that one. I haven't had that issue recently. As far as I can tell, you don't really know people's intentions all the time. Um, Sometimes it's just simply to avoid being held accountable, or it's to get the child, uh, out of their hair for the day or whatever. Or it could be more, get them like potentially moved to another school or site location. But this does not have to happen if application is done properly, and I'm here to assist with that by sharing my own experiences that will eventually turn into hopefully a support group while maintaining my vlog still, of course. The first topic will be documentation. And the most important rule of documentation is that if it's not in writing, it did not happen. Documentation can be anything from a communication log that you should, in my opinion, because this is what I did, specifically ask for. I personally asked for a simple description of my child's behavior for the day, along with a yellow, green, or red smiley face or frown face to keep it simple. That way I know to reward and or remove privileges according to how the day's gone. This is like helping for me to reinforce positive and enforce consequences on negative behavior. Reinforce positive behavior and consequences with negative behavior as I'm shown it. So within that documentation, I always put the date, the day, like, you know, uh, January 1st, 2025 or whatever. It can also include documentation of like, because a lot of people that are on the spectrum, like kids on the spectrum, when they throw tantrums, they get marks on themselves. But yeah, so like my child is fully potty trained for daytime and only really has issues at night still yet. Um, well, I guess they weren't fully aware that he was fully potty trained, so they were just kind of like changing him. Uh, so I guess he wasn't like really receiving actual bathroom breaks with the confidence that he was capable of, using it. So I reiterated the fact that he's pretty much fully potty trained at home and freely able to get up and use the restroom on a daily basis. And that if that wasn't the case there, And then I need there to be 3 to 4 spread apart within the 7 to 8 hours throughout the day, so he can become accustomed to their routine and eventually be potty trained at school, the same as he is at home. Yes. Oh, and then like I said, I wanted that like marked. So, anyways, he was left in his pull-up for too long at this specific site and location. He developed a rash underneath this pull-up, and I took pictures of and made them aware of via communication log and via parent complaint. When the rash healed, it left scarring, and one day when they changed him, like a bruise was mentioned, so I then corrected them and stated that it had already been previously documented by me via parent complaint to the dean of the school, as well as in our communication log, as well as photographed in its original rash form, where it was like red and bumpy, and that there was not just one mark but 2 in the exact same location on each side of his, like where his pull-up was at. I was polite about it. I thanked them for their concern, but also let them know that I observe and document everything, including the pad that I put in the pull-up prior to the bus ride to school, in case there are accidents on the way to school, and that by the way, when the rash happened, that I also documented in that same note, the same pad was in his pull-up when he returned home from school that day in the afternoon. And that's not good, but like teachers, they have like busy days and stuff like that, and I understand like the short-staffedness of it all, like the high turnover rate that there tends to be and things like that. So I wasn't trying to be accusatory. I was just trying to let the facts be known. But it's really important that that type of stuff is documented, because that could have easily been a miscommunication. The third documentation I have had recently was with absences. Make sure that your child's school is not counting your child absent on the days that they call and request an early pickup from you, and that you also write down and document which days those are, so that they don't use that as, so that they don't add up those days like collectively, because that's not your fault. It's not really your child's fault. It's just they need to be picked up, but you sent them to school already, so it shouldn't really count as an absence if they're not able to if they're not able to handle what it is that whatever your child is doing, then that shouldn't like count against them. Especially like in my case, he was not like injuring anyone, he was not like getting in a fight or anything. It's just like he was being really loud, and it was just like they were overwhelmed. So but yeah, make sure that they're not counting your child absent on the days that they call and request an early pickup from you. And also write down and document which days those are, so that it doesn't add up, and that can be used like as a means to get like a, what do you call it, to get like a the tickets that you can get when their child is truancy, or like possibly add up and get your child kicked out of school or something. I've not had it go that far or anything, but so yeah, because you wouldn't want that to result in an unearned consequence toward you. Mine, he has seasonal allergy flare-ups, in which usually take maybe a day or 2 at most to get over. And I call them in each time, but those absences had not went over 10 days allowed per the semester. But with theirs included, it was like double that. And they weren't tracking that, and I sent an email. They sent an email out about chronic absences, in which I sent an email back to the principal letting her know that I had been documenting each and every time they called for pickup for him, and explained that, as well as thanked her for her concerns and her statistics. But that just simply wasn't like falling in line with the documentation that I had. That's why it's important to do so. So yeah. What I would like to offer parents, like eventually within the support group, is advocacy, as that's one of my biggest gifts, is writing of all forms, not just art like poetry and music, which I'm about to shout myself out here in a little bit, but also professional business writing, as I'm I've been a small business owner for a while. I'm going to read the email that I sent to my son's school and show how I wrote correcting miscommunications, as well as so like I just corrected the miscommunications within that documentation. It's important to include as many names of professionals involved as you can to corroborate your facts, along with including nothing but logic minus any emotion at all, while maintaining a tone of respectfulness. So, like I was saying, here it is. Okay. To whom it may concern, half of my son's absences for the first semester were due to the school calling for me to pick him up. He's very sensitive to changes in the weather, as he has seasonal allergies, and when I see symptoms of them coming up, I choose to keep him home so that I don't have to leave work to come pick him up. Because I have a small business, and, I can take him with me if I want to. A couple were because my vehicle was broken down, and someone called me to pick him up previously that same week. I didn't want him to be stuck at school with no ride home. Now that I've been working remotely, none of this should be a problem anymore. He's within the 10 allowed per semester this far. Blah, blah, blah. I've also documented the days that someone has called for me to pick him up as well. Thank you for your concern, though, and I appreciate the statistics given. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. You see, it wasn't like aggressive or anything. It was just letting her know that, like, I've been doing what I've been supposed to be doing as well. Like, I've been keeping track of, they've been keeping track of me, and I've been keeping track of them. So here's another example, because this is what I did via, like, a text message or whatever. Okay. So this is when they said that, he got off the bus wet or something, which is kind of silly because he has like 2 restroom breaks before he even gets on the bus. But I said, both bus aide so-and-so and bus driver so-and-so, I said their names because, that's good part, that's important to document the names of as many professionals as possible. Agree that blank, my child, was dry both entering and exiting the bus this morning. They told me they look at each student, especially him, as he is required to have an aide on the bus at all times per his IEP. That helps him into his seatbelt as well as sits directly behind him afterwards daily. Checking each student for urine or feces is a required part of their job daily for sanitary purposes, which is why they know for certain. Plus, transportation has video footage. His accident was likely due to the cold weather and coming from a heated bus back into the cold and back into the heated building. I suggest an immediate bathroom break upon exiting the bus and entering into the school, and I'll try to give him an extra one at home. And this is what I've been doing that, but I'll try to give him an extra one at home prior to him entering the bus. But our routine is exactly the same every day, plus or minus a fun activity or two, depending upon his behavior, communicated to me through you and or his health. It's no biggie, mistakes happen, and I'm fine. Thank you. Been extremely blessed these days. Have a great weekend. You see, that is not combative or anything else like that. It's just sticking to facts of the situation, but also like being assertive, as well as like it's very well worded. It sounds professional. So this is just some of my tips. Like, I don't think that there's like bad like people in the well, yes I do. I think there's bad people in every work environment potentially, but I do not think that some people mean to be like I just feel like ignorance is a thing because people they're stuck at work, so it's really difficult to educate yourself outside of that. So that's why it's important that we know our children and then are able to accurately express and convey that we know them in the right way, unemotionally, very logically, clearly, concisely, and with as many details as possible. That way there are no misunderstandings, no misinterpretations, So I'm not trying to bash on anybody in any profession, but it does need to be done so that our children can be protected. But y'all have a great day. I'm gonna end this now.